lose everything. Oh, everything, sports, everything, Buffalo. I think that's the first time I've messed that up. Yeah. Something like that. Thank you guys for joining us very much. If you like what we do here, check out our website at buffalosportsinsider.com and make sure to stay up to date on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, blah, 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 blah. Just go follow it. That way you know what we post and the content will be out there. Also, remember to send in your questions if you have any. We will be taking a look at them and answering them as we please. So again, thank you very much for being here. I'm KJ Zelzinski, and I'm joined with Justin Sejak, Deshaun Francois, Colton Pankowitz. Guys,
what's up, man?
That Jets game was probably one of the ugliest Bills games I've ever seen. And I watched the Jags game maybe a couple seasons ago.
Where it was 6-9, something like that.
I will say this. I can say that Bills game was so bad that everyone forgot that the Giants lost 40-0.
That is true. That's a fair statement. I think we should start out by talking how we should fire everyone. I think our whole front office is gone. Let's trade up for Allen.
It's only week one, Jay. It's only week one, KJ. Relax. It's okay.
Right. No, for real. Yeah, really. Let's get
Allen, 3 interceptions. Also, Jordan Whitehead. Way to pay him his $250,000. All right. Congratulations.
Whitehead did hit his $250,000 in 7 good weeks on 3 interceptions. That's crazy.
Sure did.
2 fumbles, lost 1. We just know that Josh Allen wasn't having the night that we wanted him to have at all.
Exactly. We'll talk more about Josh in a second. Why don't you just give us an overview of how the game went for those who did not catch it, which we're in Buffalo, so that's not going to be a whole lot of us. But Justin, why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, I mean, they lost. They lost, and it was embarrassing. You know, if you follow our Twitter, you know I'm an advocate. It was an embarrassing loss, an uncharacteristic loss from this McDermott regime, and it all starts with the quarterback on Josh Allen. Just a terrible night. We've grown accustomed to the week one L's for those that started to get there. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they're doing during practice, but Josh Allen had his head up his ass, quite frankly. And he was seeing ghosts, if you guys remember the Sam Donald video. There was just multiple instances where he had guys.
Yeah.
Little digging dunks, and he just wasn't taking it the entire thing.
I can say there was even times where he could have ran, and I spoke about it before. I didn't want to see him quarterback, but there should have been times when he ran and took those yards.
I should have picked. He had the sideline.
Yeah,
he needed to take
the entire
sideline.
Yeah, because I'm listening to WGR on the way home from school, and that's like the first thing I hear. I was like, Josh Allen interception. I'm like, those coming out. Like, that'll be all right. But then the next thing I hear from Brownie is he had Green in front of him. Like, what is he doing? Like, and that's exactly just that decision making. I think was the worst part of his game.
Yeah, I think an interesting stat I saw was there was 2, and on 3rd down he was like 30% worse in terms of completion percentage. And there was a lot of plays that he could have made. I saw one Diggs. The Diggs had a slant across the field. Kincaid ran it out, was open, and that's when he threw the pick to Gabe Davis in the 4th quarter.
Yeah,
and then in the first downs is where Allen was sacked all 5 times.
Yeah,
which is a really bad formula for success because you're looking at 2nd and 15. That's 5 times. And you don't want to start taking, plays out of your playbook already on 2nd down.
I'd be interested to see how many times the Bills went 3-0 because I feel like it was pretty.
Well, I mean,
opening drive was 3-0. Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, just a lot of parts of Allen's game that were tough. That's why he is are at least on my list of losers this week from the Bills. He is just circled bright red. Just needs to fix this for next week.
Yeah.
Also on that list, I think we can sort of kind of get into our safeties. Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde did not have the best game. Tell me more about it because I think, again, there's different facets that can be fixed there.
I would say it was probably a lot of reading the offense and not being where they needed to be. That was one thing that wasn't helping us. Guys were not being able to make tackles in the spots that we needed tackles to be made. Too many times that the yards were going too far down and just letting plays run on too long. I think that was the problem with the safeties.
Yes. No, I think you're right. Again, I think there's just some stuff, again, when you're I mean, when you're working in tandem with Bernard too, because I think a lot of times when they went to go open pressure, it was
I think a lot of that
Yeah.
bad play from the safeties was highlighted in the failure to stop the run game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only say so much about the Jets passing game, but I didn't really notice too many blunders in the deep halves. But especially on those long Brees Hall runs, you see missed tackles all over the field, and it's just
Exactly.
uncharacteristic. And you don't want to necessarily shift blame to the defensive line because I actually thought the defensive line had a good night.
That's what I was
agree.
going to go into next. Is that I mean, as we can talk about the safeties being like losers, but I mean, like in general, McDermott's defense was scary. In my opinion, I think it was pretty scary. I mean, especially
Scary good or scary bad?
yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
the defensive line played a really good game.
Okay,
I
yes.
wanted to see a little bit more out of Jones in terms of
Agreed.
eating up, another blocker here and
Okay.
there. And going back to the safeties, I think it was actually a lot in the linebackers
Mhm.
on those two Brees Hall, huge bursts.
Mhm.
Both Milano's so instinctive that it worked against Dalvin Cook, who he blew up. And I don't know if you remember that play.
Oh yeah.
It was an outside toss, and he was already in the
Yeah,
backfield
yeah.
by the time he had the ball. But he was caught up in the wash, and so was Bernard.
Mhm.
And then Trey White misses a tackle, and it's Jordan Poyer one-on-one with Brees Hall.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is why I campaigned
yeah.
so hard for Jack Campbell the entire offseason. The
Uh-huh.
Bills haven't had a linebacker that could get off a damn block in forever, dude.
Yeah.
And then we're going with Bernard's another guy. He can't get off a block.
Yeah, it was a little painful. I mean, it was his first game starting in his career, and he is undersized. But
Yes.
being so undersized, you can't get caught at the line of
Not
scrimmage
at all.
because you're not going to get out of there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're talking about the D-line having a good game too. I think the edges were. I mean, we're talking about Rousseau and Leonard Floyd, just monsters on the field.
And
And
Oliver.
Rantula and
A
Oliver.
lot of people,
exactly.
a lot of people say,
So many
I'd like to see a
highlights.
bigger splash from Oliver.
He had the most.
Exactly.
He loved the game.
Half a
Hey,
sack. Yeah.
man got paid, and unlike Joey B, he actually did something to show why he got paid.
Another guy who went
I
a
mean-
couple nice plays before he went down was Jordan Phillips.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
I just pray that this guy can stay healthy this season because he's
He,
really
he
impactful.
wasn't on the injury report. The only one on the injury report was Mitch Morris with a finger, but he was a full
Yeah, yeah,
So
that
the
was
Bills got out of the
important.
game healthy.
But
Yes.
I Phillips had that sack, and he's always living in the backfield. So if we could keep him healthy in the middle, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and another player on the defense I did want to talk about was Christian Benford. Had a pretty decent game.
Yeah,
Again, I think especially because winning that CB2 spot and you have a lot of weight on your shoulders again because you're like, okay, now I gotta perform. And being injured last season left a lot to be desired. So I think he did pretty well.
I would say he did well as well, but I did see Alan Lazard have a couple open shots that he got looked at from Zach Wilson. So there is definitely something that he has to fix on his gameplay.
Exactly.
But he's able to maintain. He made a lot of tackles, and he was where we needed him to be at the cornerback too. So you can't really be upset on that.
Exactly. Did well, and I think exceeded most people's expectations. I would call him a winner. Last kind of player I did want to talk about. I mean, we can kind of delve into special teams. I don't even want to touch that part again. Everybody knows what happened last play of the game.
I think
Sam Martin.
Yes.
That was
jumping on the-
miscommunication.
Yeah, miscommunication. But
to
that's
speak
also-
on that before we even get into it, there was a tripping call that could have been called on that. So I don't even know if we can really officially say
Yeah.
that we
They
can
still
put that on
think
Sam
he'll
Martin.
win, though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think
that's
Colton
where I
said
was
best, it
getting
shouldn't
at,
come
too.
down to that.
No, it
should
shouldn't.
not.
It shouldn't come down to that. And I saw a lot of hate towards Sam Martin for probably the ugliest tackle. He wasn't trying to tackle him.
I wouldn't even call that a tackle attempt.
No, he was trying to strip the ball. At that point, that's the only thing that matters. Jets get the ball inside of the 7. I don't, they might even kneel it for all I know,
Mhm.
just to not have Zach Wilson cough the ball up and
Right.
take the field goal. So the game's over at that point, anyways. I don't hate the attempt of the strip. I hated the punt. It was a
Yeah.
really poor punt.
It was
And McDermott actually said something after the game. When you put the ball in the middle of the field,
Yeah.
it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was a short punt. It didn't hang up there. He was under it. Nobody was nearby.
And they didn't have a scouting report on the guy because he's a rookie.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was having a lot of fun on Hard Knocks, so I know a lot of people were excited to see how he ended that game.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I think, okay, last player I did want to talk about. Part of the O line, I think Spencer Brown really struggled, and again, I hate to say it, Spence, but I am sick of talking about you every week when it comes to who is winning and losing, and it's always Spencer Brown showing up on this list. Preseason was again, everybody's Expectations Brown is staying in this spot. He is on top, and he's just not growing like whatsoever. So I think again,
He's too light.
yeah,
He's
well,
too light for a tackle.
too light, and I've heard like stuff about like he's a tall dude.
Yes.
He's never gonna have like the low angle on
He's
it.
tall
Like,
and he's tall and light, and that's why he gets pushed back into the quarterback too many times. That's why we see Josh Allen bail out in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
exactly.
John Franklin Myers was back there the entire time.
Well-
Franklin Myers, Bryce Love, and if you're going to struggle with those guys,
So
Yeah.
Spencer
Exactly.
Brown was 8th in pressures,
Mm.
despite playing 46 so he's 46 most snaps, so not that far up there, and allowed the 8th most pressures. So
Yeah.
if that tells you anything about him. And I didn't think John Franklin Myers was that good, but
No.
he made him look that good.
Mhm.
Exactly. Well, now it's time to talk about when's the Fetty coming up. You know what I mean? Like we signed this guy, after preseason, is he going to make that jump up?
I think pretty soon you're going to have to see it. I mean, Spencer Brown's got a pretty long leash here, but it's clear at this point, you give him the benefit of the doubt with the back injury last season, but I mean, this guy continues to just get Josh Allen killed. I don't know how long you can. I don't know how long you can trot him out there.
Yeah.
Jermaine Fetty, I mean, he's not a great tackle, but he's a veteran in the NFL, and he's played better than Spencer Brown has. I mean,
Exactly.
I wanted the Bills to draft Darnell Wright, who let 3 sacks up in his first NFL game. But it probably would have been better than friggin' Spencer Brown at this point, dude.
Yeah, for me, I think the rest of the O-line played really good, and they just took advantage of Spencer Brown, and they had the freshest legs out there, got to see him every play, just bearing down on Josh Allen.
And like I said, the last point I wanted to make is if he's going to struggle with Bryce Huff, he's going to have a nightmare game against Max Crosby.
Right, and I want to dip into something, and it's just in terms of Josh Allen actually with Spencer Brown.
Mhm.
For me, I felt like Josh had to step up a lot, and he loves to roll outside right, and he couldn't
Always.
do that because every play, I mean, the best Spencer could do was take him around the horn.
Exactly.
So there was never a chance that Josh was rolling right, which is where he's comfortable in doing that, and that's when he rolled out left. He threw the pick deep. He kind of rolled out right, couldn't get to the outside, and throws the pick to Gabe Davis. So there's like little things that don't show up in the stat book, but to me matter a lot.
Yeah.
And if Spencer Brown can't even establish his own edge, and even if it's him cutting inside and Josh can step outside to the right, but it felt like he was getting beat outside and in on every single play.
Right, and bringing up Jermaine Fetty too, I think it brings. We can also talk about Christian Kirksey as well. Like, when is he also going to move up? Because again, I know Terrell Bernard first week, not the same situation as like Spencer Brown, where it's like Spencer's been here for a while. But again, Christian Kirksey is another player that we can also think about bringing up.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how quick you'll see because we don't know how long the leash is with Bernard. It was only his first game starting, well, this season at least. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they give some different defensive looks then and maybe carry some more linebackers as opposed to DBs. I don't know. But again, you don't want to shift Taron Johnson.
Yeah,
out, so-
well, I also don't want to throw too much shade at Bernard. He didn't play a single snap in the preseason and is tossed into a role at a whole different speed. I mean, training camp, and he didn't get preseason. Training camp and the regular season, week 1 under the lights, are way different speeds of football. So to think that he would even play satisfactory is those are very high expectations.
Yeah. Now, again, this is that was Monday. Thankfully, the game of football is not a 1 week thing. Second week against the Las Vegas Raiders coming up on Sunday. The Raiders. I'm very excited. I think, again, what we saw from this team this past Monday, super disappointing, super embarrassing, but it gives so much motivation to the team to go back out there and show out at home. Again, I think a lot of the players on the Bills talk about their love for Buffalo, and I know not speaking from my perspective, like Bills Mafia is just excited to have them back and see them perform again. So what matchups are we kind of looking for in this game?
I'll give you your first matchup.
Yeah,
That's not
please.
even one we had jotted down.
Yeah.
Josh Allen versus his own mind.
Ooh.
All right, well,
Okay.
I wonder what
You know
you're
what?
doing
Let's.
there.
I think that's it. I think we just wrap it
Yeah,
up.
I mean,
I agree.
you got you can't. The football's a fast moving game. You got to forget the last play and the last 4 plays. Josh Allen.
100%.
Because you got the Raiders that are coming off of a win against the Broncos right now. So you're going to have Devontae Adams tooting his high horn. He just beat Pat Surtain. I'm pretty sure he's going to think that Tre'Davious White isn't going to be ready against him.
That's
so
true.
Jimmy G is going to definitely be looking to get the ball over there. And I don't think that the Bills are going to have that much to deal with because they know that they need to win this game. They had such a bad first week that the only thing that's pushing them is how bad that first week was. They're not even really worried about who they're playing against. They just need to get themselves ready to get a better season going. So that's what I think the Bills are actually worried about going into next week rather than their opponent.
Interesting.
I think it's tough to tell because Jacoby Myers was actually their
I was going to say, yeah.
their top
Yeah,
target
yeah,
wide
yeah.
receiver.
Trust me, he was on my bench.
Right.
So,
McDaniels reported that he's still in concussion protocol. So there's nothing that says that he'll play. I forget what it's called when someone gets a concussion and they're stuck in a certain way. But he was doing that, which isn't a good sign for the concussion. But they do have Hunter Renfrow, who is a shifty slot receiver, and I'd like to see him where the Bills match up against him. I think Devontae Adams will be have a lot more targets with Myers out, but Garoppolo's not a guy that's going to force feed one player. I feel like I can see them getting Josh Jacobs involved, that you saw what the running backs did against the Bills last week.
Yeah, Brees Hall, 2 carries for 109 yards?
He had a big catch too.
Yes.
that he took for a big chunk. That's his first game back since an ACL too.
If there was ever a running back that I wanted the Bills to take, it was Brees Hall.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Oh well, that's all we can say now. Is just all right. Oh well.
What about Spencer Brown versus probably Max Crosby?
Probably Max Crosby. Even again, you said it. You said it before. I mean, like I said, the way that Spencer Brown made the Jets pass rush look like imagine that with Max Crosby.
I think it's going to be very similar.
Well, if John Franklin Myers looked like one of the best pass rushers I've ever seen in week 1, what does Max Crosby look like?
I can say, sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
you're
another
good.
thing to speak into that was CJ Mosley's play as well, because
Yeah,
he was
he's-
always right there, and that's where Devon Diablo is going to be doing the same thing that CJ Mosley was doing.
Exactly.
So
the 2 superstars of the Jets performed
Yeah.
like they should have, and that makes me worried for the Raiders game because I don't think the Raiders are anywhere near as scary as the Jets right now. But
Like I said, you're going to have to bring over someone. You're going to have to bring over Knox to chip, and then you're going to have to bring in Latavius Murray to pass block because he was in our last drive to pass block as opposed to other people.
So is this the game that we see more of that 12 formation where we get the 2 tight ends on the field?
Now that's an interesting
They actually
conversation to have.
They went 13 personnel. The
Yeah.
last game they had Morris out there as well.
Which I think is interesting because I think the whole talk before the season is about 12 personnel. So you think, again, they showed a little bit of that in preseason. I think Dorsey kind of hiding his hand a little bit for that 13 personnel.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Dorsey got a lot of flack this past week when I don't think he should have
I
necessarily.
mean, outside of the 2nd and 15.
Exactly. There's stuff that you can say that second 15 was egregious, but again, I think there's ways to be more creative.
I find that so full circle that the whole week we talked about the Bills are going to have to run the ball to keep the Jets honest, and then they do the 2nd and 15 run.
Yeah.
In overtime.
Wow, things are
They're just
I'm intrigued though to see. I do expect actually to see a lot of 12 personnel, and I don't know if it's because of the Raiders played the Broncos last week, and they actually allowed over 50% of their receptions to running backs and tight ends. So I think it's important to get tight ends and running backs utilized in this game at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, not only that, the other side of the ball, I think the D-line needs to get after Jimmy G. I mean, not that Jimmy G is dangerous. And, we haven't even touched on yet about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, again, how surprising is that the entire 6 months leading up to this game, again, it's all talk about Aaron Rodgers, 4 snaps in. And man, that Achilles tear.
Bring grass back.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, please. I know the Bills Stadium
is
going to be grass. Thank God. I mean, we'll pay the extra money for it, but just to save players.
To speak a little on the Aaron Rodgers thing, I did want to say something about that earlier, but I a little forgot about it.
Yeah.
That just spoke to how ready Leonard Floyd was because he got cut block on that play and he got right up and he was ready to get after Rodgers. So Rodgers had time to throw out and he didn't. And that just showed that Leonard Floyd was ready for the Bills season at that point early in the game. So I was happy when I saw that. Sad that Aaron Rodgers is out for the entire season though.
Yeah. Again, just crazy stuff there. But all in all, if the Bills can show up like they did against the O-line like that with their D-line, I think, again, we have a pretty solid defense, and they showed that this last week. Before we wrap up, I do want to get into our final predictions.
for this Raiders game. Starting with Justin, what are we thinking?
The Bills will bounce back. And I think they're going to bounce back high octane as well because they're home week 1. Bills Mafia is going to be there. Josh Allen will hopefully have his head out of his ass at that point. And I wanted to say this earlier, but we need a second premier option to step up behind Stephon Diggs. I think that'll happen. I don't want to give a final score because I don't know. But,
fair enough.
Bills a lot, Raiders mid.
Here, I'll pull one up. I'm going to take it to 31-13. Bills win it at home. Again, so much energy going to be at Highmark Stadium, at the Ralph. Bills Mafia is going to be back there and cheering them on. There is going to be so much to talk about with them. Again, Josh Allen will fix it. Again, we know what he can do. He'll be back.
Yeah, I expect to see like a 31-20. I think the Bills had to get punched in the mouth on week 1. I think that's probably the best thing for them. That, Josh Allen gets humbled, offense, defense gets humbled. I see like a 31-20. Not too close. Doesn't feel too close, but two-possession game.
That's right.
All you guys stayed in the 30s. I got them putting up 40. I think this is where Josh is going to throw over 300 yards.
I like it. All Diggs.
Yeah,
all Diggs.
This is going to be Josh throwing all the time. He's going to make sure that he's making the smart decisions. He's going to hone down on not running when he doesn't have to and getting the ball out when he needs to, I think. So I got the score going like 45 to like 10, 13. I don't think they're going to give the Raiders a chance.
I respect it. Yeah. Now, Bills Mafia, shake it off. It's just week 1. No reason to panic. Again, more games to come, especially this Sunday, 1 p.m. at the Ralph. Be ready. The Bills are going to be back. No fret about that for sure. So thank you guys for joining us. Again, if you like what we do, BuffaloSportsInsider.com is your place to check out our content, whether that is posts we'll throw out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, anything you want, we got it. Again, thank you for joining us. I'm KJ Zelzinski, Deshaun Francois, Colton Penguins, Justin Cejak. Thank you guys. We will see you next week, Monday, after the Raiders game.
Oh.
See you guys.